أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين بالقاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته العالمين الصلاة والسلام على. Welcome to Tuesday night program for Dua Tawassul. Inshallah, we'll start with the recitation of Dua Tawassul first and followed by a brief lecture. Just a quick reminder, inshallah, this coming Saturday, October 31st, we will be celebrating Eid Miladun Nabi. Of course, the program, due to the pandemic, will be conducted online under the topic of a glimmer of hope in unprecedented times. Do join us at 7:30 for this program. Inshallah, we'll have a guest speaker and we'll have some manqabat. And inshallah, the program will be live at 7:30 on Saturday, October 31st. With that, inshallah, we'll start Dua Tawassul. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك وأتوجه إليك بنبيك نبي الرحمة محمد صلى الله عليه وآله يا أبا القاسم يا رسول الله يا إمام الرحمة يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا أمير المؤمنين يا علي بن أبي طالب يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا فاطمة الزهراء يا بنت محمد يا قرة عين الرسول يا سيدتنا ومولاتنا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيهة عند الله اشفعي لنا عند الله يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها المجتبى يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا عبد الله يا حسين بن علي أيها الشهيد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن الحسين يا زين العابدين يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها الباقر يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا عبد الله يا جعفر بن محمد أيها الصادق يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا موسى بن جعفر أيها الكاظم يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن موسى أيها الرضا يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها التقي الجواد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن محمد أيها الهادي النقي ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا، يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها الزكي العسكري، يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا، يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. يا وسي الحسن والخلف الحجة أيها القائم المنتظر المهدي، يا ابن رسول الله، يا حجة الله على خلقه، يا سيدنا ومولانا، إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله، وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا، يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. Ask for your hajat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Request for dua shifa to brother Sajjad Jafar. Inshallah, keep him in your prayers, as well as all of those people who are in need of dua, suffering, struggling. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect them. يا سادتي ومواليا، إني توجهت بكم أئمتي وعدتي ليوم فقري وحاجتي إلى الله، وتوسلت بكم إلى الله، واستشفعت بكم إلى الله، فاشفعوا لي عند الله، واستنقذوني من ذنوبي إن الله، فإنكم وسيلتي إلى الله، وبحبكم وبقربكم أرجو نجاة من الله، فكونوا عند الله رجائي، يا سادتي يا أولياء الله، صلى الله عليهم أجمعين، ولعن الله أعداء الله ظالميهم من الأولين والآخرين، آمين رب العالمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. لأرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات. فاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين، إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين، اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. وصلى على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، خاتم النبيين أبي القاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين، الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. On this Tuesday night, when we recite Dua Tawassul, doing Tawassul to Ma'sumin alayhi wassalatu wassalam, considering them to be our intercessors, shafi'een, and we rely on their shafa'at, especially when we perform and recite this dua. Yesterday was 9th of Rabi al-Awwal, which marks the conclusion of 2 months and 8 days long of Ayyam Azah. Now, we mentioned in Majalis during Ayyam Azah that this is, not standard for throughout the Shia world, that 9th of Rabiul Awwal is the conclusion of Ayyam Azah. This is primarily for subcontinent Indian and Pakistanis. That's where they conclude their Ayyam Azah for various reasons. This day is called Eid-e-Zahra because the family of Zahra Salamullah Alayha, they were joyous on this day. Some Shia believe this is the day when the revenge was completed by Mukhtar al-Thaqafi, and this was the first day, many years after the events of Karbala, 4 or 5 years down the road, in the year 65 or so, when Mukhtar al-Thaqafi had taken the revenge of the blood of Shuhada of Karbala, and he brought the criminals to justice. So some believe that this is the day in which the second caliph passed away, but that is not true. Sheikh Mufid in his book writes that he passed away on the 26th or 29th of Dhul Hijjah. So nothing to be confused with that, in the year 23 after Hijrah. People mixed in with another Umar, who was Umar ibn Sa'd, who was killed on this day by Mukhtar, and that is the reason we consider this to be Eid-e-Zahra. Now, there are many other traditions that are ra'ij, that means they are practiced. For example, some think that everything is allowed on this day, and actually a couple of days after Eid-e-Zahra. So there's a riwayat, actually, which is called Hadith Raf'ul Qalam an Ummati. The tradition which says Raf'ul Qalam or Rufi'al Qalam an Ummati. Prophet said that upon my people, Raf'ul Qalam means that there's no taklif upon them. That means regardless of what they want to do, they can do it, and it will not be counted against them. It will not be considered a sin. He says, وَأَمَرْتُ الْكِرَامَ الْكَاتِبِينَ أَنْ يَرْفَعُوا الْقَلَمَ عَنِ الْخَلْقِ كُلَّهُمْ عَنِ الْخَلْقِ كُلِّهِمْ ثَلَاثَةَ أَيَّامٍ مِنْ ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمِ. And then it says, وَلَا أَكْتُبُ عَلَيْهِمْ شَيْئًا. Allah is saying this, that وَلَا أَكْتُبُ عَلَيْهِمْ شَيْئًا مِنْ خَطَايَاهُمْ كِرَامَةً لَكَ وَلِوَصِيِّكَ. So Allah is saying, Amartul Kiram al-Katibin, that I have commanded these two angels, the Kiram al-Katibin, to an yarfa'ul qalam, to not scroll or to not document anything from the creations, kulluhum, all of them, thalathata ayyamin, for 3 days from this day. And then wala aktubu alayhim shan, and I don't write anything upon them from their khata, from their mistakes, from their sins, kiramatan laka wa liwasiyyak, because of your honor and the honor of your wasi, O Prophet. So Allah is saying, I've ordered the angels who ascribe the actions to not write any of the sins for 3 days. Now, this tradition is there in Biharul Anwar. If anyone wants to see volume 31, page 124, and in volume 95, page 353. So the tradition is there. But of course, we don't consider every tradition in Biharul Anwar to be authentic. Therefore, there are problems with this hadith. And some of the problems that we find with this hadith is that it contradicts with the nas of Quran, the ayat of Quran. Where ayat of Quran or ayat of Quran, verses of Quran mention, for example, La yughadiru saghiratun wala kabira. That what is this book that is given to us on the day of judgment, which did not leave the smallest of the actions and the biggest of the actions. وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرٍ يَرَى وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرٍّ يَرَى. Whoever does an atom worth of good will see it. Whoever does an atom worth of evil will see it. So both of these ayat of Quran and many such ayat of Quran which talk about how precise the hisab kitab will be, how precise the accountability will be, that nothing will be spared, nothing will be left out from our actions. That's what the ayat are indicating. So if the ayat is indicating that, or ayat are indicating that nothing will be skipped, nothing will be missed, nothing will be omitted, then this hadith is in contradiction with it. Yes, we have riwayat where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of his lutf, he says to the angels that if my servant commits a sin, do not document this for certain amount of time. Some riwayat mention 10 hours, 7 hours. It is possible that he might perform or she might perform tawbah. And this is out of the lutf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that if they do tawbah within these 7 to 10 hours, then don't document this sin on their behalf, as if they have not committed it. So that's something which is out of the lutf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this does not contradict with these ayat which I recited. Or, for example, Allah says that if my servant thinks about doing something good, write it down in his namai amal. Because it is possible that he may forget and he may not continue and pursue that good deed. So in that case, write it down, so as if he has performed that good deed. This is again out of the lutf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which does not contradict with the ayat of Quran. So it also contradicts other traditions from Ma'sumin alayhi salatu wassalam. For example, in Al-Kafi, we have riwayat from an Abi Jafar alayhi salatu wassalam. Fifth Imam says, قال ما من نكبة تصيب العبد إلا بذنب or لا تنال ولايتنا إلا بالعمل والوراء. That our wilayat will not be reached except or attained. You will not be able to attain our wilayat. You will not be considered mawali, our followers, illa bil amali wal wara, except by your amal, your actions, wal wara, and with piety. So if you don't have piety and if you don't have actions, then don't expect to be our followers. Or la yanalu shafa'atana, or our shafa'at will not reach such an individual. So Ma'sumin are saying that the dependency of our wilayat is on their actions and also being what? God wary, fearful of Allah, and being muttaqi. So difference between narrators, Ishaq in the book Mukhtasar quotes it from Imam Hadi alayhi salatu wassalam, whereas in Anwar al-Nu'maniyya from Imam Hasan Askari alayhi salatu wassalam. So there's a difference in the narrators of ahadith. When Maraji were asked about such ahadith and their authenticity, they replied, narrations which oppose Quran is unacceptable. Therefore, actual hadith of Raf al-Qalam or Rufi al-Qalam an ummati, that the actions of certain people in my ummah will not be questioned, is in favor of those who are nabaligh, children, those children who have not reached the age of bulugh, those who are insane, those who don't have aql or lacking aql, for example, and not, in our terminology, we say, well, this person is be'aql. No, the ones who are at the level of majnoon, junoon, insane, or someone, for example, who's sleeping, because a person who's sleeping does not know what's happening around them, so therefore he could not be held accountable for something that he may have done while he or she was sleeping. So these are the people upon whom this hadith is implemented of marfu al-qalam, but others will not be recipient of this hadith. We find that two groups have really hurt Islam throughout the history. One, our sixth Imam, Imam Jafar Sadiq mentions this in his tradition. He said two types of people broke our back. One, jahilun muqaddasun, whose ignorance is that the reason people don't act on religion, because some people become so muqaddas, but they're jahil. Second, alim without taqwa, knowledgeable person who does not fear Allah. or who lacks piety, for example, or whose lack of piety is repulsive to others. People say, oh, this is the alim, this is the one who is wearing this amama, this is the person whom we're supposed to follow. No, I don't want to follow this person. And then on the other hand, you have those holy individuals, muqaddas people, who are ignorant, who would do anything which may not be instructed in Islam or in Quran. So these are the two people, Imam Sadiq says, have broke our back. So we find that they're not alim bi taqwa, without taqwa, and this is jahil muqaddas. These are the people who have caused the riwaj of such traditions to be spread and then be adhered to and believed. I'm gonna come to conclusion today, or yesterday rather, 9th of Rabi al-Awwal, also although it's not celebrated such as that, in recent past you start seeing Taj Poshi of Imam Zamana, that Imam of our time, his first day of Imamat begins on 9th of Rabi al-Awwal. So 9th of Rabi al-Awwal is the day when Imam Zamana, his Imamat begins, because 8th of Rabi al-Awwal is the Shahadat of his father. So when one Imam leaves this world, that's when his son, or whoever's the next Imam from his sons, amongst his sons, is the one who assumes the responsibilities of Imamat. So also this is the first day of the Imamat of our 12th Imam, who disappeared from the Sardab, or the basement of the Haram in Samarra. Now there's some misconceptions amongst Ahla Sunnah, which then have creeped into our own circles as well. And some Shias also believed in it, and they're confused about it in reference to this Sardab, or this basement. First, we need to understand that in Iraq, there was a concept of making Sardab, or basement, especially in those areas which were very hot due to severe heat. Imam Hassan Askari also had a Sardab in his house, which later became known as Sardab of Imam Zamana. Some believe that this Sardab, there are some baseless allegations that due to the fact that Shias, this place is regarded to be very muqaddas, very holy, there are reasons that they have presented. Number one, they say Shia believe that Imam is hiding in this basement, and he will emerge from this basement one day, and he will establish his government. That's what the Shias believe, according to some baseless allegations. Number two, they say, well, Shia gather at this place every Friday morning, riding their horses with their spears and their swords ready, and they're chanting, Al-Ajal, Al-Ajal, Ya Imam Zamana. Oh, Imam Zamana, come out. Oh, Imam Zamana, come out. But he does not come out. Of course, this is something which word of mouth somehow got out, hearsay somehow got out, and people started believing in such baseless allegations. What is the actual belief of the Shia about this Sardab, or this basement? I'm sure many of you who have visited Iraq and gone for the ziyarat of Samarra, where two of our holy Imams, our 10th Imam, Imam Ali Naqi, والسلام, and our 11th Imam, Imam Hassan Askari, والسلام, are buried there. Shia consider this place to be very muqaddas, holy, and pray and recite supplications there, not because Imam Zamana is hiding in there. Rather, this is the place next to the haram of two of our great Imams who are buried there, 10th and the 11th Imam. This is also the place where Imam Zamana was born. This is where the miracle of him hiding while Banu Abbas were waiting for him. They were searching for him in here. As they found out after the shahadat of our 11th Imam, they came looking for Imam Zamana, his mother, and they were hiding in this place. And Riwayat mentioned that Imam walked out of this Sardab, and there was veils in front of their eyes, and they could not see. So this is a place where such miracle has taken place. Shia don't believe that Imam will reappear from this Sardab, nor do they believe that Imam lives here. No, rather, Imam will reappear from Mecca, leaning onto the wall of Kaaba. Sardab was the only place which was the home of, these holy personalities. And of course, Imam Zamana. So this is where a question arises. Where does Imam Zamana live then? Do we know his address? Do we know where he lives? He's amongst us. Where does he live? There's not a single place which we find in the riwayat that pinpoints the actual or indicates the specific place where Imam Zamana would be. But Imam visits various places throughout the year. And there's certain places where we believe that Imam is present on a particular day. For example, Imam performs Hajj every year. And during Hajj, he could be anywhere in Mecca. But there's one time and there's one place where every Haji must be present. We believe that Imam Zamana is always there on that day between those times. That is the plains of Arafat on 9th of Dhul Hijjah, between the hours of Zawal until the sunset. That's the wajib wuquf in Arafat. Every Haji must be present in this place in order for their Hajj to be correct. And therefore, we believe that Imam Zamana is also there when he comes for Hajj, and he's in the plains of Arafat at that particular time. And also, it is our belief that Imam Zamana goes for the ziyarat of Imam Hussein every year on various occasions, because there's a place which is associated with called Maqam Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq and Maqam Imam Zamana if you've gone to Karbala, right? So there are two places which we go and visit. What are these maqamat of Imam Ja'far Sadiq, Imam Zamana? They never lived there. Well, these are the places where Imam Ja'far Sadiq used to visit Imam Hussein والسلام, in Karbala. He would stay at this place. Similar is mentioned about Imam Zamana, that when he would visit his Jad, he would stay at this place. So why is this Sardab so holy? This is the place of living for three Imams. Imam Ali Naqi والسلام, Imam Hassan Askari والسلام, and briefly Imam Zamana. Three Imams did their ibadat, their supplications, their munajat here. They recited Quran here. So this place is a place where we perform ibadat. We recite supplications. We recite Quran over here. It is near the haram of Imam al-Askariyan, the two Imams who are referred to as Askariyan. Imam Mahdi visits his father, his grandfather here every year. So we want to be lucky to have the sharaf of mulaqat of Imam Zamana when we go there. And this is the place Imam Zamana was born. So with all of these indications, we understand why this place is so holy in our perspective. And those baseless allegations have nothing to do with the holiness of this place. Imam Zamana is not hiding there. Imam Zamana is not, going to establish his government from there. All of those proofs and dalail and evidences are found in our authentic books. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq, accept our amal in the 2.5 months that we perform this duty to Sayyid al-Shuhada, commemorating and uplifting ourselves spiritually. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to hasten the zuhur of our weighted Imam. Make this year to be the year that Imam reappears, inshallah, and all the agony and all the difficulties come to an end. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to count us amongst the helpers and the soldiers of Imam. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Mutawajjih ziyarat. Assalamu alaikum ya Rasulullah, assalamu alaikum ya Habiballah, assalamu alaikum ya Khiratullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum ya Gharib al-Ghuraba, assalamu alaikum ya Mu'in al-Du'afa wal-Fuqara, assalamu alaikum ya Shams al-Shumus wa Anis al-Nufus. أيها المدفون بعرض توسلي ابن موسى رضا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك صاحب العصر والزمان. السلام عليك إمام الإنس والجان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. جل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وظهورك وجعلنا من أعوانك وأنصارك ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد. Inshallah, join us on Saturday. Well, of course, we'll have Thursday night program as well at 8 p.m. And inshallah, we'll have Jummah khutbah at 1 p.m. on Friday. And then inshallah, join us for the Saturday program at 7:30 p.m. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi